INFJs are one of the rarest personality types and also one of the loneliest. Although they crave deep, meaningful relationships, INFJs also have a desire to spend time alone and often have a harder time opening up to others. These contradictory desires can make an INFJ have difficulty connecting with other people. Today on Charisma, we're going to be looking at the 7 reasons INFJs are so lonely. Let's start by quickly going over a little bit about what makes an INFJ distinct from other Myers-Briggs types. 1. Introversion. INFJs are introverts who need time alone to recharge. Without this alone time, they quickly become exhausted and burn out. 2. Intuition. INFJs pick up patterns and deeper meanings in the world around them, allowing them to effortlessly form connections between things that appear different on the surface. 3. Feeling. The feeling dimension means that INFJs make decisions through emotions, whether through their own emotions or the emotions of those around them. 4. Judging. This trait means that others see INFJs as being organized and methodical. They are also seen as being future-focused. Now that we know a little bit about how the INFJ operates, let's look at the reasons that explain their loneliness. Number 1. They vanish. As we just saw, the first letter in the INFJ acronym stands for introvert. This means that INFJs need time alone to recharge after spending time with others. And while usually this doesn't get in the way of their socializing, sometimes INFJs can take their need for solitude to extremes. Because they're so comfortable being alone, INFJs can find themselves spending days or even longer without hanging out with friends or family. And when they do emerge from their cocoon, they may be surprised to find that those they used to be close to no longer feel the same way. This is because most people need consistent, regular interaction in order to maintain relationships. Without this connection, relationships suffer. So, when INFJs come out of their alone phase, they are often faced with the reality that their friendships and other relationships aren't as strong as they were before. They might even find that they've missed out on important events in their loved ones' lives. This can have the unintended effect of making the friends and family of INFJs resent them because they feel the INFJ doesn't care. But in the INFJ's eyes, they were just doing what felt right for them given who they are. The result of this is that INFJs frequently find themselves unable to sustain many deep relationships, although they usually do have a few. The irony of this is that INFJs crave deep relationships, so the lack of substantial relationships can make them feel incredibly lonely. So with this, INFJs naturally tend to get along best with other INFJs. Number 2, they are secretive. It can take years for someone to truly understand and feel like they know an INFJ. While most people are comfortable opening up and sharing their most intimate secrets with those they trust to some degree, INFJs struggle with this. In fact, they often keep parts of themselves hidden for years, making others feel they don't truly know the INFJ. This is primarily due to the fact that INFJs aren't comfortable with vulnerability. Again, we see some of the INFJ's contradictory nature come into play here. While INFJs are great listeners and great at helping others, they don't necessarily seek out help or people who can listen to them by sharing vulnerable parts of themselves. Of course, the INFJ's desire for extreme privacy can cause their relationships to suffer. Their friends and family members might always feel like the INFJ is holding back or not being fully honest with them, or even that their inability to share means that they don't trust them. Number 3, they're naturally independent. If you've ever been friends with or dated an INFJ, or even if you're one yourself, you've probably noticed how independent they were. INFJs want to do everything themselves, and there's nothing they dislike more than the feeling of not being self-sufficient. From wanting to take care of themselves when they're sick to being reluctant to ask a question in class, INFJs aren't great at asking for help. They value their independence to such a degree that they believe that relying on others means that they'll need to give up their independence. However, relationships are made stronger when there is a give and take involved. While INFJs are certainly givers, they're not as great at the taking side. Over time, their inability to connect with others through this part of a relationship can lead to the dissolution of these relationships, as others feel like they're prevented from growing close to the INFJ. Furthermore, the inability of an INFJ to ask for help or lean on others can sometimes make them appear snobby or standoffish. Others don't always understand the underlying reasons for an INFJ's desire for independence and mistakenly assume that it's due to them being stuck up. Number 4, they're misunderstood. Even if someone's not aware that they're an INFJ, they are most likely aware of the fact that they feel different from others. INFJs are complicated types, as they have contradictory feelings and philosophies. They are often perfectionists who also come across as being laid back. They are logical, but they are also very emotional, and they are analytical, yet also imaginative. The INFJ's conflicting personality traits can make them come across as a certain way at one moment and something completely different at another. Because of this, people frequently misunderstand INFJs and what truly motivates them. Furthermore, INFJs have a deep desire to improve the human condition and the world around them. To others who might not aim for such high-level ambitions, the INFJ's desires can seem utterly confusing. INFJs are typically aware of how they come across to others. Initially, their reaction is often to hide their true nature out of an attempt to fit in with others. However, oftentimes, as INFJs grow, they realize that fitting in is not meant for them, and they can learn to embrace this and use it as a strength. Number 5, they are social chameleons. If you've ever been able to morph into a different personality based on who you're around, you know what we mean by being a social chameleon. Social chameleons can adapt to the setting they're in. They might be professional in a business setting, funny when hanging out with a group of friends, or studious in a classroom. INFJs are natural social chameleons, as they often put on different personalities depending on who they're around. And while this quality has its benefits in that it allows others to feel like they can relate to an INFJ, it, in fact, only leads to surface-level connection for the INFJ. This is because the social chameleon nature of INFJs prevents them from truly being able to be themselves in every situation. Instead, they often take on whichever personality they feel is right for the situation they're in. While this results in others feeling like they can identify with the INFJ, it doesn't help the INFJ form lasting connections. Number 6, they gravitate towards solitary hobbies. INFJs have a passion for philosophy, art, and the things in life that make them feel deeply and experience life to the fullest. This means that they are drawn to hobbies like reading, writing, hiking, going to museums, or listening to music. And while these hobbies bring great comfort and joy to INFJs, there is also one thing they lack: the involvement of other people. Furthermore, although an INFJ could easily bring a friend to accompany them to a museum or on a hike, they would rather do these activities alone. This isn't because they don't value spending time with others, but more so because they find that they can have a deeper experience when they're on their own. Of course, the result of this is that the hobbies that bring INFJs so much joy also cause them to be physically apart from others, therefore contributing to their loneliness. Number 7, they struggle to maintain harmony. An INFJ struggle to maintain harmony doesn't mean that they themselves lack harmony and the ability to have peaceful relationships with others. In fact, it's quite the opposite. INFJs have what's known as extroverted feeling. This determines how they react to things outside of them. For INFJs, their extroverted feeling means that they want to create harmony in their external environment. They hate conflict and strive to make sure everyone's happy and getting along. This is made clear when you think of famous INFJs like Martin Luther King Jr. or Mohandas Gandhi, both of whom strove to create peace in their surroundings. Of course, creating harmony amongst those around you isn't always doable. For one, a single person is typically not able to influence entire societies of people to behave a certain way, and secondly, some personality types are just more prone to conflict than others, making the complete avoidance of conflict extremely difficult, if not impossible. So even though INFJs try to make those around them happy and get along, they're not always able to achieve this. As a result, INFJs often feel lonely because they don't feel like those around them are in harmony. This can make an INFJ feel isolated from the group as a whole. What about the INFJ dark side? Watch this video to find out about that.